Hi guys, it's Nancy, and today's video is going to be using silhouette stamps on patterned paper. So I am using Blue Knight rubber stamps. This is called Horse and Sleigh. I believe this was brand new last year, but you get 3 sizes of silhouette, small, medium, and large of the Horse and Sleigh. And I will most likely be using my Catherine Pooler Midnight ink as soon as I can find my Blue Knight rubber stamps handle. Here it is. So Blue Knight rubber stamps makes these magnetic handles, and you just get these metal tags to stick on the back of your plates. And this is the universal handle, which is thinner, which will fit inside the oval ink pads. They also have the regular handle, which will fit inside your square ink pads. Okay, but you want a nice deep black ink that's going to saturate. Okay, and I have grabbed in my stash 3 stacks of winterish paper because this is obviously a winter scene. So I have some retired Stampin' Up! Feels Like Frost paper. I have Enchanted Christmas from Crafter's Companion. I am pretty sure that this is also retired. And then this was some Stampin' Up! Paper, which I think you can still get, which is kind of like a watercolor. It's called New Horizons. There we go. It's got some watercolor background. So, for example, that to me looks like an icy lake. Okay, so there are a couple sheets that have a couple different watercolor looks, and I'm going to just make a real easy, simple card by stamping on these. So I have my Stampin' Up! Stamparatus here. Because these are red rubber stamps, I'm going to take my foam pad out, and then I'm going to place my paper, put my magnets on there. Okay, and where I think my stamp's going to look good, and I think for this one, maybe right about here. And that's all we're going to do is stamp it down. Okay, and again, I'm going to use my Catherine Pooler Midnight Archival Black ink, which I love on rubber stamps. And normally with silhouette stamps, you want to give it good inking maybe 2 or 3 times, okay? And although this paper looks textured, it's not. It's a photocopy of watercolor paper, so it's actually very smooth. So we should be okay here. Okay. I think I have a string in my stamp, so let's clean that. But look at how that already is starting to look like a winter scene. And I didn't do anything. I bought pretty paper. So go through your silhouette stamps and see what you have. And then go through, look how much better that looks, your paper. You probably have some paper scenes. You might have 12 by 12 paper you can cut down. Or you might have some 6 by 6 paper sitting somewhere that you're just really not using. And you can take a combination of those silhouette stamps and make a pretty cool scene. So this one is done. And now I just have to cut it down. I can put a sentiment. I can add to this. But that's a pretty good start. Let's do this one. Before I stamp it down. Okay, I actually like the placement of that one too. I'm going to put some fresh tape on my magnet here. I like to put tape on because then it's easier to get them up off the board. And hopefully they don't smash my fingers. just make a little bit extra, hang out, and make a little tab. Like that. Try to cut it without the scissors sticking to it. There we go. Okay, let's ink this one up. Blue Night Rubber Stamps has quite a collection of silhouette stamps. They are all red rubber stamps made here in the United States. And if you don't have one of these handles, they do make it so easy to just hold that ink pad, get that ink on the stamp. No wrestling with the ink pad. Just hold that handle and it'll make it a lot easier for you. Okay, I want it a little bit darker, so occasionally what I'll do is just clean my stamp, start over again. And I find the Catherine Pooler ink or the Versafine Clair Nocturne ink are the best for this method. The other inks kind of, they're not as black, or they soak through and they don't give you a really deep, dark impression once they dry. You could also do heat embossing. So if you like the way that looks, but you really want it to stand out, I don't even know if I have any black heat embossing. Here's some black. Let's see here. Now with this ink, I am going to ink it up one more time before I heat emboss it. And I want to make sure my heat tool is ready, because this ink does dry fairly quickly. Okay, not the best heat embossing, but you get the idea there. Okay. I'll try that again, but we'll use the other ink. You want a slow drying ink, so pigment ink or Versamark ink would work better. The Catherine Pooler ink, it's a dye ink, so it dries very, very quickly. Okay, so we will keep that over here, put the lid on it. Wipe that off. Okay, let's try that again. Let's try some other papers. stick with the same size stamp. I might move to the smaller ones depending on what our scenes look like. But this is a quick way to kind of like, especially, you know, we're coming up on the time of year when we're supposed to be making our holiday Christmas cards, right? So what a great time of year to get that done and over with. Or what a great way to get these cards finished fairly quickly. So here's a nice winter scene. Okay. Now for this one, let me see. All right, if I go with the medium one, it's too small. So we're going to stay with the larger one. We're going to move it down in the scene though. So it's down a little further down here. And I'm going to use my anti-static tool on it. And I'm going to use the Versafine Clair Nocturne ink. So that way when we heat emboss this one, it will be nice and black. And we won't have that powder everywhere. Okay, so same idea here. And stamp it up and ink it a few times. And that's why you want to use a stamp positioner, so that your stamp and your paper are in the same position every time you stamp it. We get that nice solid black image. We have nice solid coverage here, pretty good. But I can now go into heat embossing this, and we want to be fairly quick about it. All right, I think we got much better coverage that time. Makes a big difference on the type of ink that you use with your heat embossing. Okay, now let's heat this up and see how this looks. A little bit over here. Okay, look how cool that looks. And you just want to heat it until that embossing powder gets glossy and shiny. Can you see that? That looks really cool. I like that one the best so far. Okay, let's do another one. So we did a watercolor background. We did what was, I'm assuming, some kind of fairy background, Enchanted Christmas. And now let's go into these. These are more photographic, realistic looking backgrounds. And again, this paper is no longer available, so I just grabbed it out of my stash. Here's one. Oh, here's another one. Okay, I think that's good for that. so this one, I think we can get away with the bigger one. The other one, maybe we go to a smaller, like a medium size one. So let's see where this lands. I think I want to move the stamp up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I like that heat embossing, so we're going to go back in with our anti-static tool. And for this, again, I'm going to use the pigment ink, which is the Versafine Clair. Pick that up. That looks cool. I did this before. They had I have a hunting stamp, and I did the same thing. I took the hunter and I put him in the woods, and the woods was just pattern paper. And all I did was I stamped a couple trees on the front and the hunter, and I did some heat embossing, and it looked like this scene came together. And all I did was just take the silhouette stamp and put it on pattern paper. So you never know, what you have. Just go through and look. But how easy and quick is this to put a couple scenes together? Wipe off any excess stray strands of powder. Looks pretty good, huh? Pretty cool. Okay, let's do one more, and then I think for this one we'll go down to the smaller size stamp. This one, the medium size one. Yep, that might be too small too. I'm gonna go with it. We'll raise it up a little higher and we'll cut it down so it won't look so bad. And this one I'll just do regular ink. I won't do heat embossing on this one. Now, if you're not sure about placement or how it's going to look, this one's fairly easy. You can always grab a clear piece of acetate. So we have like acetate that comes off of our stamp packages. You can put that down first, stamp on that, see how it looks, and then if you like the placement of it, remove the clear acetate and then stamp on your paper. So that's a trick we use often when it comes to placement of rubber stamps, because obviously you can't see through the rubber stamp like you can a photopolymer stamp. And I'm going to do one more for this, and I think this one looks pretty good. Okay, now we just cut these down and put them on card fronts. Throw some sentiments on there, and we are done. How easy is that? So, how many did we make? 4? 5? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I have 5 card bases? Just 2. That's okay. We'll cut more later. All right, so what I like to do too is when I'm framing these, I like to cut down black cardstock to frame them. So depending on how this looks when I cut it back. Now look at the difference between just stamping it. You can see a little bit of that line there. This one's not too bad. And doing the heat embossing, how that heat embossing kind of fills that in a little better for you. So let's see, if we cut this down to 5 1/4 by 4, that'll give us a little bit of space for a matte layer. Look at that. That looks pretty cool. That doesn't even look like a winter card. It just looks cool like that. This one's really neat. And then I'm just going to grab some black for my matte layer. I'm going to cut these down to 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. That really goes well with the silhouette. just glue everything together. Get how that black matte frings that off. And then on these heat embossed ones, you might want to add a little bit of extra glue because sometimes they do warp a little bit when they are getting heated up. And I like to use this art glitter glue because it does dry very quickly. It doesn't wrinkle your paper. Doesn't give you a lot of working time, but when it is glued down, it is glued down. It's not going to move. I think I cut that one a little crooked. Okay, obviously I need to make a couple more card bases, but just want to give you guys the idea of what this looks like when it's finished. And I don't have to do much more to this. So if you know, on a time constraint, you need to make 100 holiday cards, this is really not that hard to do, and you're still putting that handmade look into it without having to, you know, purchase a kit or mass produce, taking forever for something. This is fairly easy to do here. And I have space if I wanted to stamp a sentiment, cut it out and glue that to the top there. I could do that very easily. But there you get the idea. So get your silhouette stamps out, get your pattern papers out, look at all of the different supplies that you have to make something as simple as this. And again, if you're interested in this silhouette stamp, you can pick this up at Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. I'll put the link down below for you guys. I'm not affiliated with them, but they are a wonderful company. I was on their design team for several years and just love their silhouette stamps. So here you get the idea of all the different looks we got just from using one stamp and a couple of different pattern papers out of my stash. Okay, well, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, consider subscribing to my channel. And there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep on stamping. Bye-bye.